Now the latest from ITV News Meridian with Fred Dinage and Sangeeta Barbara.
Good evening and welcome to ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines here in the south. Petrol panic as the fuel crisis in France left your holiday in jeopardy. How you can avoid getting stranded abroad.
9 months of traffic misery. Is there relief at last, though, for thousands of drivers who use the Bournemouth Spur Road?
100 years since the Battle of Jutland. What happened to the ships that fought one of the toughest encounters of the First World War?
And a flying visit. Meet Mary Poppins as she touches down in Southampton on a UK tour.
Good evening. It was supposed to be the great getaway, but tonight thousands of holidaymakers have delayed or cancelled their trips because of the ongoing fuel crisis in France.
Yes, some families have already been left stranded as blockades at petrol stations and oil refineries across the country have left fuel in short supply.
Well, there's been panic at petrol stations this side of the channel, and with fuel being rationed once you get to France, people are being urged to think through their plans. Here's Andrew Pate.
Protesters have been out in large numbers across France. Strikes and blockades hitting 6 of the country's 8 oil refineries and leaving fuel in short supply. That's affecting us here as holidaymakers worry about their trips over the bank holiday and half-term. Malk Wood from Gillingham in Dorset was planning to go to France next week, but he's now having second thoughts and may instead drive to Germany.
The holiday's been booked since the December, so we've been looking forward to it, and now the week before to have to start changing plans and having a bit of stress and that, wondering if we're going to be okay and what we're doing. So, yeah, we just get on with it and see what happens.
Port workers in Marseille, Cherbourg, Le Havre and Saint-Malo are also taking industrial action. Well, the French Transport Minister has said 40% of petrol stations around Paris are struggling to get fuel. All motorists here are being advised to fill up before heading to France. The drivers we spoke to had certainly planned ahead.
We don't really know how bad they are, but we will try to fill up before we go.
We're actually off to Bruges, so hopefully we'll be able to fill up before we come back as well.
We did fill up actually before coming, so we're aware, yeah.
Motorists are being advised when you're in France to top up whenever you can. You're also being warned that on the forecourts you can use one of these, but you won't be able to use one of these. Brittany Ferry say their services from Poole and Portsmouth are running as normal, while P&O ferries have no reported problems on their Dover to Calais service. But driving through France has been affected by the protests.
Well, from all holiday makers, because it's half-term this week as well, please, lads, go back to work. Even if it's only for the half-term, let's have a holiday. We work hard all year for it, obviously like you guys do, and it'd be nice to be able to just relax and do what we've planned.
The strikes are over labour reforms in France. The action having a huge impact on us here. Andrew Pate, ITV News.
Well, ITV's Richard Gaisford is at Cherbourg, just one of the many ports affected by the disruption, and sent us this.
Well, the situation seems to be changing all of the time here in France. It's certainly a dispute that is affecting the whole country, but certain areas are definitely worse than others, and that is very much the case when it comes to fuel supply. The north and northwest of the country seem to have some of the worst problems. The area around Paris is definitely very badly hit. We're seeing a lot of closed fuel stations here in Normandy and around the areas of Caen, Bayeux and Cherbourg. Cherbourg. Some fuel stations are open but are rationing fuel supplies, some of them allowing you just to have 20 litres or 20 euros worth of fuel at any one time. We've met an awful lot of motorists, caravanners and campers who are just getting on with things here, quite stoic about it, telling us that they feel that this is all part of the French holiday experience, dealing with this kind of industrial action. They wouldn't be so happy though if they came across one of these blockades burning in the streets. That is certainly something that I found around the edge of Caen yesterday. Quite intoxicated strikers out burning tyres and barricades. The French government not backing down at this point on their plans to revise labour laws. The unions aren't happy, and at the moment it's a standoff, and it's English motorists and those trying to get around the country who are suffering.
Well, advice now for all motorists venturing abroad this bank holiday weekend from Nick Blythe from the RAC. Nick, what is the advice? I mean, are motorists safer just staying at home?
Absolutely not. Motorists, if they are heading to France, can take some advice from us, and our advice is to make sure before you get to France that you fill up your car right to the top, and then when you are driving through France, to make sure that you top up your fuel as you drive along. Do not allow the fuel level indicator to reach down right to the very bottom. Continue to fill up. Many filling stations will only allow you to fill up around 20 or 30 euros worth of fuel, so be prepared for delays.
What's the advice, what's the law, in fact, in terms of carrying cans of fuel in cars?
We don't recommend that motorists take jerry cans. The French government, the French law, should I say, stipulates that you are allowed to take around 10 litres of fuel into the country, but it really does depend on getting that fuel across the channel in the jerry cans, because many operators will not allow you to do so. So our advice to motorists is to check with the operator.
If you do run out of fuel in France, if you can't find a service station that's open, what then? What should you do?
Well, our advice to motorists is that if you see that you are about to run out of fuel, we will be able to provide you with some advice as to where the nearest filling station is.
Nick Blythe, good advice. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.
Now, the good news ahead of the bank holiday weekend is that the A338 Bournemouth Spur Road will fully reopen overnight following a 9-month rebuild.
Indeed, £22 million has been spent on the improvements, which caused huge delays at peak times for miles around. Martin Dowse has sent us this.
They're so proud of these 3 words that those behind the complete rebuilding of the Bournemouth Spur Road want to make sure every bank holiday motorist heading to the resort has a chance to digest them, perhaps hoping they'll bring some forgiveness after 264 solid days of disruption, congestion and frustration.
The alternative approach we looked at was almost 9 to 10 years worth of rolling repairs on the old road. Whereas what we've managed to do in 9 months, which I accept has been painful and difficult for people trying to use either the diversions or this carriageway, but in 9 months we managed to replace the whole road, which otherwise, as I say, would have taken us nearly a decade. So I think for the people of Bournemouth and for the economy of Dorset as a whole, I think it's been a fantastic way to do it.
This project's been one of the greenest major road building schemes the country's ever seen, with 100% of the old road recycled on site to help create the new one, and a novel approach to protecting wildlife, making the roadside slightly less attractive habitats to those nearby, so that the newts, etc., naturally move house rather than being forcibly evicted. The new road is supposed to be smoother, quieter and 1 metre wider for emergency use. There are new central concrete barriers, supposedly safer and better drainage. All good for the motorist. But what this is really about is what all of this can do to help improve business in this part of Dorset.
Well, this is the first of a number of active projects and programmes across the whole of the south of the airport. It will open up housing, it will open up job opportunities, probably 10,000 jobs, and we're really looking forward to watching this programme continue to develop.
This is just phase 1 of that long-term plan to unlock what they call suppressed growth potential around Bournemouth Airport. So more road building and improving is on the way, and the cones won't be gone for long. But for now, the bank holiday was the deadline and they hit it. Spur Road motorists can get reacquainted with their higher gears and appreciate a view that isn't just the boot of the car in front. Martin Dowse, ITV News on the Bournemouth Spur Road.
In other news, the chief executive of Portsmouth Hospital's NHS Trust has resigned from the post. Ursula Ward had held the position for 12 years. The search for her replacement will begin immediately.
Thousands of people will head to Southampton this weekend for 2 days of musical entertainment. The Common People Festival is organised by the man behind the Isle of Wight's Bestival. Duran Duran are among the headliners, and what's thought to be the world's largest bouncy castle will also be on hand to entertain.
I think, ours is timed well. It sort of drops right at the beginning of the season. We've picked a sunny weekend. Luckily, people are, going to come down in their droves. So I think it's just an easy festival. It starts at 11 a.m, finishes at 11 p.m. You can be in bed by midnight and then come back and do it all again the next day.
Talking of common people, you're with Sangeeta and me, and you're watching ITV News Meridian. Coming up, Simon's all-important bank holiday forecast. Plus,
the shooting star looking to secure her place at the Rio Olympics, but will she hit the target this weekend?
More on all of our stories, head to itv.com/Meridian. Give us a call, 0808 10 10 095, or get in touch via Facebook, or why not send us a tweet at ITV Meridian. Well, the ITV Evening News continues with the national and the international news at 6:30. Let's now get a preview to London. Alistair Stewart.
More doping failures rock the Olympics just weeks away from Rio. Samples taken at the London Games of 2012 put 23 more athletes from 6 different countries in the frame. The driver of this Land Rover gets 4 years for leaving 2 little girls paralysed. And Marcy, the Royal Navy Wren, wins France's Légion d'honneur for her D-Day exploits. Join Ranveer Singh and me at 6:30.
Now, it offers help for people suffering from anxiety, depression and post-traumatic stress. And as part of Brighton Open Houses Festival, one mental health recovery centre is offering people a chance to look around.
Yes, the South Downs Centre in Preston Park offers a range of creative classes for people. Over 50 clients who've been helped are displaying their work, many for the first time, as Charlotte Wilkins will now tell us.
Many people underestimate the power of a pencil or a paintbrush and just how much it can benefit our well-being.
I've got bipolar disorder, and when I'm higher, I suppose I can have quite destructive tendencies without realising it. But if I can channel my extra energy into art or dance or singing and creative things, tend to be a really good way for using that energy.
Art's the thing that's helped me out of a hole on more than one occasion now. It's a kind of meditation or mindfulness, because when you start working on a piece of art, your mind centres on it. You're in the piece of art, and all the nasty stuff in your life sort of floats away.
Art has helped both Ali and Ian through some of their darkest times. They are just 2 of the people who have been helped by the Preston Park Recovery Centre in Brighton. Over 50 clients here are displaying their work as part of the Brighton Open Houses Festival. Opening up the doors demystifies what a mental health recovery centre is like.
Well, we've had nearly 400 people come through the doors since we've been open, and that can really help people to start asking us what we do here. We talk to people about the fact we're a mental health recovery service, and then people start telling us about their own mental health and their family and friends' mental health. So it can just lead into quite a natural conversation about mental health, which can still be difficult for people to talk about. And we can signpost them and tell them where they can get some extra support from if they need it.
From paintings and drawings to sculpture and photography, there is creativity flowing from every room. The centre is opening its doors for one final viewing on Saturday the 28th of May. Charlotte Wilkins, ITV News.
Now, a century ago, thousands of men were preparing for one of the biggest battles of the First World War, but it wasn't fought on the Western Front. It took place at sea.
Yes, many historians say the Royal Navy's victory at the Battle of Jutland in the North Sea off Denmark secured Britain's eventual victory in the war itself.
Well, next Tuesday, the 100th anniversary of the battle, ceremonies will take place to remember those who died, and we shall be talking to relatives of some of them. them.
Tonight, though, Richard Jones reports on 3 ships which survived the battle. One is still afloat, the others are on the seabed.
At low tide, anyone coming into Portsmouth on a cross-channel ferry can see it, the ghostly outline of a long-sunken ship. But no one knew of its real significance and that of another wreck nearby until researchers started digging into their history. The Maritime Archaeology Trust discovered they are V44 and V82. They're not sure which is which, both destroyers of the German High Seas Fleet. One fought at Jutland, and when war ended, both were seized and brought to Portsmouth to be used for target practice.
Most of these things disappear. You know, they're broken up for scrap, they're taken away, they're buried, whatever, and there's not usually anything there. Sort of to find them still sticking out the mud in plain sight of everybody, that was quite amazing to see, because you really don't expect that. You can see the bow, there's a couple of boilers, the old bridge area of the ship, really, really prominent.
Jutland was Germany's attempt to challenge the Royal Navy's supremacy of the sea and break a blockade of German ports, which was affecting the country's ability to fight.
Britain's fleet allows a total comprehensive blockade of Germany in the First World War. And over time, what this does is starve Germany of priceless vital resources, food, nitrates that they need for fertiliser and for high explosives. The German Navy has to change that dynamic in order to stand a chance of winning the war. Their attempt to do that is at the Battle of Jutland, when they try and defeat the Royal Navy and break that blockade. They fail to do so. The blockade continues, and as a consequence, Germany is at its knees, on its knees really, by 1918.
There were 150 Royal Navy ships at Jutland, and each carried a number of smaller craft. This was one of them, not worthy of a name at the time, just a number. This was motorboat 436. She's now called Attaboy and is Chris Ashton's pride and joy. He keeps her on the River Thames at Marlow, where she leads a life of leisure. But 100 years ago, she was hard at work, attached to the cruiser HMS Royalist.
There's no radio as such, there's no connections between the ships, it's all semaphore. So the captains had to go between battleships to talk to each other. So that's what she was designed for, really.
After the war, most boats like this were sunk or scrapped, but MB 436 survived and remains in remarkably good condition.
I treat her with care. She's long and thin, she's 30 foot, she's only 6 feet wide, and she cuts through the water unbelievably well. She's a beautifully designed boat, you know, beautiful. And the craftsman that built her for a reason, and that's going fast through water. And she still does that. Not around here, I will add, but when we go out a little to the open Thames, it's fine.
Back in Portsmouth, the hunt is on for another World War I veteran, which is rumoured to be hidden in the harbour's depths.
Somewhere out there is we think anyway, is a German U-boat from the war. But yeah, we're still looking for that, so watch this space.
Forgotten battleships, a loved and cared for motorboat, and maybe even a hidden submarine. All took part in the First World War. Some survived Jutland, the biggest battle in naval history. Richard Jones, ITV News.
And much more on that next week. Well, all's quiet on the southern football scene. Or is it, Sarah Cole?
It was for a little while, wasn't it, Fred? But not for long, no, because Reading Football Club say they'll make a further announcement in due course after confirming they've made what they've called the difficult decision to part company with manager Brian McDermott. The 55-year-old returned for his second spell in the role back in December, with the side finishing 17th in the Championship. And of course, there's plenty of talk about who'll take over. Reports suggest former Manchester United defender Jaap Stam is in the running. Now, the nation's top rowers hoping to secure their places at Rio or on the waters of Lucerne today at the Rowing World Cup. Among those who've won their opening heats are the Berkshire-based women's pair Heather Stanning and Helen Glover. And staying on the water, the battle for Paralympic sailing places is being fought at the Para World Sailing Championships in the Netherlands. For 2012 gold medalist Helena Lucas from Southampton, the event is a chance to line up against her key rivals. Helena could become the first Paralympic sailor to win back-to-back Olympic golds.
Everybody said to me, you know, does it get any better? And it's like, no, it probably doesn't. You know, this is probably the most amazing experience I could ever have, you know, gold at a home games. But it is that one, I think, bit of history that hasn't been made yet, that I would absolutely love to, you know, defend my title and win another gold in Rio, and that certainly is kind of the drive and goal behind obviously carrying on for Rio.
And on dry land, the European Archery Championships are being contested in Nottingham this weekend ahead of Olympic selection for the sport. Bryony Pittman from Brighton is hoping to qualify for her first Olympic Games. In cricket, Hampshire begin their T20 Blast campaign at Middlesex tonight. They'll be without this man, though. West Indies World T20 winning captain Darren Sammy will have to wait until the first home game against Kent on Thursday night for his debut because of registration rules. And Hampshire captain James Vince has been in action for England in the second test against Sri Lanka at Chester Street. He made 35 in England's first innings. And don't forget, coming up here on ITV in just over an hour's time, England's Euro Championship warm-up match against Australia, live from the Stadium of Light.
And a score forecast?
Rashford's going to get the winner, isn't he?
Marvellous.
Thank you, Sarah.
Fairy tale, lovely. Thank you very much.
Now, finding the perfect childcare is a headache for parents all over the world, but there's a new nanny in Southampton who is practically perfect in every way.
Yes, her methods are a bit unorthodox, but her singing and dancing are a dream. Christine Alsford went to meet the stars of the world-class touring production of, yes, of course, Mary Poppins that's arrived in Southampton.
It's a magical show that's been winning the hearts of millions across the world for more than a decade. And the iconic lead role is a dream come true for young star Zizi Strallen.
It's just an absolute joy, really. You know, there's a lot of pressure that comes with being Mary Poppins. Everybody grew up with the film, and I did, and I grew up with the books as well. And it's pressure, but it's amazing.
Equally amazing, the 500 props, hundreds of costumes and mind-blowing on-stage trickery. And if you thought that was clever...
Winds in the east. Flying is incredible. It's just a lovely feeling. When I fly over the audience, I can't see anybody really. It's completely pitch black, but I can feel that everybody is loving it, and you know, I can hear everyone's reaction because I'm so close to them. It's an amazing feeling.
Bert is played by Australian Matt Lee. He's not only had to master a Cockney accent, but some pretty complex dance steps too.
The dancing in the show is of the highest calibre that I've ever worked on.
And step in time, 11 minutes.
Yeah. I always say, for me, it's like Everest. I always think about it before and go, oh, how am I going to get through it? You see the audience on the edge of their seat through the whole number. Yeah, it's very cool.
Colourful and slick, the production is full of show-stopping songs. One is more famous than all the others.
I can't spell the word unless I sing it and do the actions. S like that. Yeah. U P.
Yeah. S-U-P-E-R-C-A-F-I. It gets quite fast. Can't quite do it singing in a chair, but that's a little bit for you.
Mary Poppins runs at the Mayflower Theatre in Southampton until the 19th of June. Christine Osford, ITV News.
Oh, brilliant. We were singing right through that. And next week we'll be giving you an exclusive look behind the scenes of the production and finding out exactly how they make everything run like clockwork.
And just like clockwork, the perfect bank holiday weather forecast coming up from Simon Parkin. Or will it? Let's find out. Here he is.
From blizzards to pool, driving through Europe. Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Well, I'm pretty sure that it breaks the bank holiday weather law, but this weekend we'll probably have more in the way of good than bad. That said, there will still be a bit of bad to look forward to. Certainly a few showers around today. Overnight tonight, a lot of dry weather. Then tomorrow, the showers get going, some quite meaty ones too. Sunday looking as though it will be largely dry. And then bank holiday Monday, low pressure pushing in from the east. So after a decent start, we'll see some rain arriving later, but it will take a while to arrive. So back to tonight, a lot of clouds sitting on top of us, hence it's mild, 11 or 12 the overnight low, and it's a dry story. It's just down towards the coast around the Isle of Wight that you might see an odd shower pushing in off the sea, but a lot of dry weather to wake up to tomorrow morning. Even first thing, 8-9 o'clock, we'll see a few showers developing towards the north and east. Elsewhere, some decent sunny spells to get us going. That's going to lift the temperatures, which into the afternoon will reach around 18-19 degrees, but that'll spark off yet more showers, so a Met Office weather warning for some of them to be quite heavy, with the risk of some surface flood water around as well. As for your high tide times, you can see in Bognor 10 to 4 in the morning, 25 past 4 in the afternoon, and then Sunday, best day of the weekend, dry and fine but turning breezy later.
Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather. Keeping a close eye on summer. The Pollen Count, sponsored by Ilogy Eye Drops.
Well, it's grass pollen that is the main cause of hay fever at the minute, and thanks to the showers tomorrow, levels will generally be low, but with things turning drier and finer on Sunday, expect them to creep up.
And that's how we look this Friday night. In just a moment, we've got the ITV Evening News with Alistair Stewart and Ranveer Singh.
Stacey Poole's got our late news, so do join her if you can. But for now, from the team here at ITV Meridian, thank you very much indeed for watching. Do have a great weekend. Do join us again next week. And if you're going to France tonight or over the weekend, good luck.
Safe travels. Bye-bye.